let's talk about an empire, one that lasted for over 300 years and completely reshaped a subcontinent with its art, its culture, and its raw power. That was the Mughal Empire. And right now, we're going to dive into its incredible story. So, when you hear Mughal Empire, what's the first thing you picture? I'm guessing it's this, right? The Taj Mahal. It's this perfect, gleaming monument that's become the empire's most famous calling card. But you know that one stunning building? It's just the tip of the iceberg. The story behind it is this epic saga filled with incredible conquests, golden ages, bitter family feuds, and a long, slow decline. So what is the real story of the empire that built this masterpiece? Okay, let's go back to the beginning. The year is 1526. Our main character is a prince named Babur. Now, this guy had some serious ancestry. He was descended from both Timur and Genghis Khan. He comes sweeping down from Central Asia with a pretty small army, but he's got his eyes on the prize, the wealth of India. And trust me, this wasn't some slow, gradual takeover. It was an absolute explosion onto the scene. I mean, just look at the speed of this conquest. It's kind of staggering. In just 4 years, Babur wins 4 gigantic battles, each one against a totally different, really powerful enemy. So how'd he pull it off? Well, he had a secret weapon, new technology. He used gunpowder, cannons, and mobile artillery to absolutely shatter the older, more traditional armies and lay the foundation for a brand new empire. Okay, so winning battles is one thing, but building an empire that lasts? That's a whole different ballgame. An empire born from war needs a unifier, a visionary, and it got one in Babur's grandson, Akbar. He came to the throne when he was just a teenager, and his job was huge: turn all these conquered lands into a single, stable empire that could actually stand the test of time. So what was his secret sauce? Well, one of his most brilliant ideas was this thing called the Mansabdari system. It was this really clever setup where every important official got a rank, a mansab. This rank decided not only their salary, but more importantly, how many troops they had to supply to the emperor. It's kind of genius, right? Instead of fighting your rivals, you basically put them on the payroll and made their power totally dependent on you. But honestly, where Akbar really showed his genius was with his policy of sulh-i-kul, which basically means universal peace. In a land with so many different cultures and religions, he knew that force alone wouldn't cut it. So he got rid of taxes that unfairly targeted non-Muslims, made alliances with Hindu kingdoms, and even built a house of worship where people from all faiths, Christians, Hindus, Jains, Muslims, could come and debate. This was radical stuff for the time, and it was the glue that held the whole thing together. So Akbar sets the stage, and what follows? Well, it's the empire's golden age. We're talking about a solid century of unbelievable prosperity, peace, and just an explosion of art and culture. This is the Mughal Empire at its absolute zenith. And get this entire golden age, a full 100 years, was dominated by just 3 rulers. You've got Akbar, the one who brought it all together, then his son Jahangir, who was a massive patron of the arts, especially painting, and his son Shah Jahan, who we know as the master builder. Each one left a huge and very distinct mark. And the legacy they left behind, wow, it is just a who's who of architectural masterpieces. You've got Humayun's tomb, which really set the standard for all the grand tombs that came later. Akbar built his own incredible capital city, Fatehpur Sikri. And then Shah Jahan gave us the Red Fort in Delhi, and of course, the one and only Taj Mahal. They weren't just putting up buildings, they were literally carving their legacy into the land for everyone to see, forever. But, as they say, all good things must come to an end. And the beginning of the end, well, it starts with Shah Jahan's son, Aurangzeb. He seized the throne after a brutal civil war with his own brothers. And while he expanded the empire to its biggest size ever, in the process, he started pulling apart the very things that had made it so strong. I mean, just look at the difference between him and his great-grandfather Akbar. It is night and day. Where Akbar built bridges, Aurangzeb, well, he built walls. He brought back the jizya tax on non-Muslims. He shut down the religious debates. He alienated his Rajput allies. He was a very devout ruler and a skilled general, but these policies created a lot of resentment and started causing these deep fractures in the empire's foundation. So, those cracks we mentioned? After Aurangzeb died, they just kept getting wider until the whole thing started to crumble. What followed was this long, slow fade, a period people call the twilight of the Mughals, where the central power just fell apart and new players started rising up to take its place. And the collapse wasn't just one thing, it was like a series of dominoes falling. First, Aurangzeb's constant wars, especially down in the Deccan, completely drained the bank account. That weakness let powerful regional groups, like the Marathas, rise up and challenge them. Then you get a string of weak emperors who just can't get a grip on the situation. And all that chaos, it created a power vacuum that, you guessed it, ambitious European trading companies were more than happy to step into. The final chapter is, well, it's pretty tragic. The last Mughal emperor, Bahadur Shah Zafar, he wasn't a warrior king. He was an old poet, basically a ruler in name only with very little actual power. But when the Great Rebellion of 1857 broke out against the British, the rebels needed a unifying figure, and they named him their symbolic leader, a throwback to a past glory they were desperate to bring back. But the revolt was crushed, and the British response was brutal and decisive. In 1858, they just ended it. The Mughal Empire was officially abolished. The old emperor was put on trial and exiled to Burma. And just like that, a dynasty that had ruled for over 300 years was over. So the empire itself might have vanished, but its influence, its ghost, is everywhere. It's in the languages people speak, the food they eat, the incredible monuments they visit, and even in the administrative systems that still exist today. That 300-year history is just baked into the DNA of the subcontinent, which really makes you think, right? How is that massive legacy still shaping the culture, the politics, and the identity of almost 2 billion people today?